Hi, and thanks for joining me today. So I have another project using the Tonic Craft Kit number 38. This one is called their Floral Gift Wallet. And if you're curious, I do have an unboxing video, which I'll link to at the end, and also a separate video on how to put together the Floral Gift Wallet, which is basically just using the dies as they are intended to be used. In this video, however, I'll actually be creating a mini album of sorts. In my own mind, I've been thinking of it as a little brag book, and I have been thinking about this ever since they released their introduction video announcing this kit. And anytime I buy any craft supply, I always think about whether I can use it in different ways other than the way it was intended, and how many ideas I can come up with just on seeing it or seeing a video of it. And sometimes that can be a little bit hard to imagine because you don't have the actual die cut pieces that you can really just play with. But for sure, when I saw this, I knew this had mini album potential all over it. And so I've been thinking about it long and hard because they do release the introduction video about a month before you actually get it. And so that gives you time, if you're a subscriber, to skip that month if it's not something that you're interested in receiving. Or if you're not a subscriber, it gives you time to maybe see other people's videos, because the design team often releases videos for inspiration the same day that they launch it. And so you have that opportunity to decide whether you want to pick it up. And then when you put your purchase through, then you'll receive it kind of the first week-ish or so of the following month. So I haven't put one of these together before, these little brag books, but I've been kind of giving it a lot of thought, and I did, in my mind, sort of pre-plan everything out, and I've prepared a lot of pieces. And so I'll say maybe about 80 to 90% of this I'm pretty sure will work, and then there are parts we'll just have to see how it goes along the way. Okay, so what I've done here is I'll also mention at the outset that I'm not using any of the papers that came in the kit, because I do plan on flipping this kit, which is where I create at least one flat, one layered, one interactive, and one pop-up card using the kit contents. And so I'm saving all of the kit contents really for that project, but I'm using the dies and papers, mostly papers from Tonic, but also out of my stash to create this. So what I've done is I've cut the main wallet die out of some of their pearlescent card, and I think this came from a previous craft kit, monthly craft kit. So I've got that, and then I just die cut it again out of just really thin, this is almost like copy paper weight paper. Even though this is double-sided, one of the things that I kind of don't like about just leaving this as is that you don't get that nice professional rounded edge. You get instead, just an edge that doesn't look quite as finished. And so I'm gonna line the inside of my wallet with this almost like kind of a gingham pattern, which I like the look of when I made the gift wallet. And so I just happen to have it's a pretty inexpensive pad of paper pad with a lot of these really pretty designs, and they have a lot of times the same pattern but just in different colorways. And so I just picked a different colorway for that would match better with this project. And so I'm going to adhere that down and on the inside. Now the idea behind this is that I'm gonna have a spine that I'm gonna attach to this edge here, and then these will kind of fold in, and I'll have a magnet closure to keep that all inside. But because there's gonna be, I'm planning on 3 sort of page signatures, and so we have to give it a little bit more depth to accommodate for the spine and the pages and then the photos that will go in. So all I've done is I've just added a couple of extra score lines. So the original, the die will actually give you these first 2 score lines, and then I just added another 2, the same sort of width apart. And I did that on both sides. So that's going to give us, these 2 are going to be basically the 2 sort of gussets that wrap around our pages. So that's one alteration that I've made. And what I'll do to start is I'm going to kind of lay this out like that. And I am planning on having a magnet closure. So I want to be a little bit thoughtful about the order that I adhere things in, because we want to make sure that it does, our magnet gets hidden. And I'm actually just gonna give, especially the first and the last one, just gonna give another score. Make sure it's just very good impression there. That way when we fold, we'll get a really nice fold. I'm not too worried about the inner score lines. It's more those 2. And really, I only put the extra score in the middle just because I think it'll look nicer. But what I really needed was this outer one to give us the width that we need. That center one is just because the die creates this one right here. And so just so that the design looks intentional, I've added that extra one. But functionally, it doesn't need to fold, so that's why I'm not giving an extra burnish or an extra score on that. And I'm just gently kind of folding just so that we don't get any cracks. So that's how that's gonna look. And then I am going to also show you okay, so then what I also have is our decorative pieces. So I've got this piece here, and I've die cut this out of, this came from their Rustic Rose monthly craft kit, which is awesome. So that's gonna be my center outside panel. And then on the back here, I have another panel like that. I did also die cut a separate one, which is smaller. So one of the things to note is that because we've had to cheat over this panel, this decorative panel is not going to fit anymore. It's going to be, you can see it there, it's going to be too wide. So gonna have to make some decisions. So I might do a little bit more die cutting. I was thinking about using this panel, which is actually the original die that cuts the little pocket here. However, this one is not wide enough. And also, this one doesn't have the nice stitched edge. So what I think I'm gonna do is maybe pause and do another die cut. And what I'll do is I'll take this, but and I'll show you what I'm thinking of doing and how I plan to achieve it. So what I'm thinking I'll do is a partial die cut, kind of like this, and I'll just cut it to the width I actually need. That way I get that rounded stitched edge, because I don't want to just chop this off. It's going to leave a plain edge. It's not going to be, you know, a nice professional rounded edge, and it's not going to have the stitched border. So what I'll do is kind of line this up where I want it, and then I'm going to give myself a little line that's about where I want the edge to be. And these dies, the cutting edge is just about all the way to the edge of the metal. So what I can do now is just line this up so that it's right where my pencil mark is. And once I have it in place, I'll just get a little bit of tape and tape that down, and then I'll run it through my die cutting machine. But when I die cut it, I'll just cut a little bit along that edge so that we don't mess up too much of our stitching all the way down here. So I'm just gonna run the die plate right over this line here. Okie dokie. So that's how that turned out. And now we have a panel that actually fits and still have that nice stitched edge all the way around. So just to show you that again, that's how it dropped out. And what I did was, I have a large platform machine, but I used a small plate, and I just lined my plate up like this, and then I ran this through my die cutting machine like that, so that the plate is only really covering, you know, the edge that we want to cut, and then you don't get too much interference with the stitches that are already there. So that's how I did that. I'm glad that worked out. So that's one of the things that, like I mentioned, I'm gonna have to just figure out on the fly, because a lot of these things, when you look at the dies, you can maybe figure it out in your head, but really a lot of it comes together as you're going, and then you realize, you know, when you're putting things together, what you really need. Okay, so that's gonna be the outside of our brag book, and I just happen to have this cardstock. It's from Recollections, and it really matches this pretty well. So that's just out of my stash. I'm sure Tonic probably has one that is a good fit. So, okay, so that's the outside of our wallet. Then on the inside, here's what I have planned. So we've got our liner like that. And my thinking is that I have, and I'll show you how I put the spine together, but I've just made one of these spines. So that's custom cut, and that will go in there. So for the pages in my brag book, basically I used the same die that I just used to cut the decorative panel, but the difference here is that I took a piece of just 65-pound cardstock, and I cut that at 5 inches, and I gave myself a nice long strip, and then I scored it in the center at 2.5, and then I folded that long strip. And all I did was taking the this decorative die, I put it so that this one edge is actually not going to get die cut. So all I did was I lined it up, the folded edge, just with the internal edge of the die, so that inside edge of the die. So because our cutting edge is closer to the outer edge of the metal, so by just lining up the fold like that, so just put that fold, butt it right up against the inside edge of your die, then you can die cut, run this through your die cutting machine, and what you get is that really nice stitched edge design, but you have this all in one piece. And so this now could be a little mini card in the original gift wallet, which I have here. So you could actually, you know, create a little mini card and just put that inside your gift wallet like that, and that'll be a nice little card that you could create. But this is going to be my pocket page, and so I'm going to have 3 of these, and I'll just glue them to the hinge like this, and I'm going to make them pocket pages, so I'll just glue the bottom and leave the top open so that she can put in even more photos or other little keepsakes if she'd like. So I've got these pages figured out, and I have I'll be including 3 of them. So those are going to be our pages. Then the next thing we'll need, I just decided that on this side, I'm going to create a little bit of a special kind of showcase section. So this will look like a little pocket, but really it's just going to open like a gatefold, and she can put an extra special photo here if she'd like. So just something different, and I'll have it have a magnet closure there. So we will want to put a magnet here, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and put my magnets on here so that I don't forget. So probably one will go here, and then the other, yeah, I think it's gonna go here. So that's what we'll do. This way I don't forget that I want magnets here. Probably, so this can go a little further down. Okay, so I think I'll probably do something like that. And have a fun little gatefold there. So that'll go there, and I do have the decorative, this will hide my magnet. So that's gonna go there, this will go there. Got my pages, and then here I'm gonna need another decorative panel, so I'll have to, I don't have one die cut, so I'll have to die cut that piece. And then this side, this is gonna be a little bit harder to decorate because as I mentioned with this panel here, because we did have to cheat out a little to give ourselves some room to accommodate all the pages, the decorative die here is not going to, I still have to figure this one out, it's not going to actually fit all the way. So you can see it's a little bit cut off. So now with this one, I could maybe just put it as part of the spine and just have it wrap around. So that might be something that I do. I don't think it'll look too good to cut that off. So the other option is to actually use a solid panel and then do the exact same partial die cutting where, in fact, let me just do it again so we can see how that looks. So what I'm going to do is going to put my decorative panel on to the gift wallet and then give myself a little couple tick marks for where I want the edge of it to be. And then I'm going to take the same die that I used to cut this piece. I'm going to line that up and get that taped down. And exactly as I did before, I'm going to put my plate like that and then run it through. Okay, so there we have it. So let's see if this fits. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I might do this. It's not going to be quite as ornate as this would have been, but you can see how much, as it's about 1/4 of an inch that we would be losing on the design. So yeah, I think that this is what I'll do. Okay, so that's going to be our outside. So in terms of how to decorate that panel on the inside though, let's see, what do we want to do? This is kind of the part that I didn't prep in advance. So we're going to have our, I could use this decorative piece here instead. Ooh, that would be pretty. That's kind of nice. So it'll be tone on tone because it's the exact same papers, but it does give it a really nice textured, and I have the piece cut anyway, so let's do that. So I'll do that there, and then the question is, what do I want to do inside here? I don't know. While I'm thinking about that, let me die cut another panel for the center piece, and then maybe something interesting will pop in my head for that last part. I also don't mind just leaving it the way it looks now, just so you can see some of that gingham. So for this middle portion, my thought is I won't use this paper, but I'm going to use a panel that is this size. And I actually might make this, maybe I'll make this another pocket, and then she can slot things in there. Yeah, why not? Okay, so I have this panel. That's gonna go down there. That will hide my hinge a little bit. I'll show you how to make the hinge too, because I have it cut from white, but I kind of think I prefer to use black. So I'm gonna redo this piece in black, and once all of that's in place, this is gonna close like this, and I think I'm gonna want another magnet here. So since this is the outer one that's going to keep everything closed, and there's a bunch of thicknesses, I think I want larger, a larger magnet, and this is going to be a solid panel, so yeah, keep that there. That's going to be inside, that will be inside, so it'll be something like that. Okay, so let me go ahead and find some black cardstock, and I will show you how I created the spine. Okay, so let me show you how I'm intending for the pages to work. So these are going to be pocket pages, but what I've done in advance for some of the pages is I've just cut these little slits in each of the 4 corners. That way she can just have her photos printed and then slide them in. And so the reason why this hinge is cut not to the full height of the page is so that there's a little bit of room for her photo to actually slide into this slit. Otherwise, it could get taped down. And so what I've done is I've just kind of measured in between these 2 slits, and I've determined that that is 2 1/4. So I'm going to take my black card and just cut a strip of paper that's 2 1/4. So what I'm going to do is I'll leave this to one side so you can kind of see where we're headed. If you've never done this style hinge before, it's pretty easy. There are dies that will cut it, them to like a very specific dimension. But once you know the concept of how to do this, you can pretty easily adapt it to whatever you're gonna create, right? So clearly these dies were not meant to be used this way, so we're gonna have to customize our hinge to fit. So this is just a strip of that's 2 1/4, and I don't know how long this needs to be, but I'm pretty sure, well, I hope anyways, this is going to be long enough. So my first score line is going to be at the 1 inch, and that is just going to be a glue tab that gets secured to the cover of the album. And then my next set of score lines is going to be this first hinge here. So I made my hinges, they're only 3/8 of an inch tall. Usually I do 1/2 inch, but those are for larger pages, and 1/4 of an inch would work just as well, just in terms of, I think, structurally, but my score tape is actually 1/4 of an inch exactly, and since I want to use score tape here, and I don't have anything thinner than that, that's how I arrived at 3/8 of an inch. So you can see to what degree you can customize just based on, you know, what your needs are, what the design of your pages is, and as well the materials that you happen to have. So I just made 2 score lines that are 3/8 of an inch from the previous score line. So if you're following along, that's going to be 1 3/8, and then 1 3/4, 3/4. So that's where we're at. Now, I want to give myself a little bit of a gusset just to allow for the page that's going to go in here. And I'm not going to put anything dimensional here. It's going to be flat, but this needs to accommodate a photo. Maybe she wants to slip stuff into the pocket as well, so I want to give a little bit of extra room for that too. So what I've done here is I've just given myself about 1/8 of an inch of a gusset, and then that's gonna be the space between each hinge. Now my next set of 2 score lines will be to create the second hinge. So 3/8 of an inch from my last score line. That's gonna take me to 2 1/4, and then 3/8 of an inch from that. That gives me my second hinge. Then give myself 1/8 of an inch of a gusset, and then my last hinge is going to be another set of score lines that are 3/8 of an inch from each other, and then I'll give myself another inch on the back end here, and I can cut my paper off at that point. Okay, so we have all of our scoring complete. I like to put my score tape down first while everything is flat before I've folded anything. Just feel like it makes it a little bit easier to get the tape in the right place. And what I want to do is actually gonna put my first set of tape strips I'll put on the top, so that's the side that we just scored on, and I'm gonna put where each of my hinges, I'm gonna put score tape on both of those wider sections. And what I'm gonna do is actually put the tape a little bit closer to that middle score line, basically the top peak, and that way I'm not pushing my pages all the way to the bottom of the hinge. It gives it a little bit more freedom to move back and forth. So I'm just gonna put that strip right, not over the score line, but just shy of it. And I try really hard not to touch the adhesive as I'm laying it down, just so that you don't accidentally remove any stickiness. So you definitely want this to be very, very secure. So I just hold it, from the edges of the tape. Alright, so that is going to be what sticks our pages to the hinges. Now, you want to flip this over, and for each set, I'm going to lay another strip of score tape, but just one and directly centered. And this is what's going to actually create our hinge. So this will stick to the other half, and then we'll have our hinges formed. Okay, so now to do some folding. So I'm just gonna kind of fold these one at a time. So, and then burnish as I go. You always want to fold your score lines as mountains. And even though ultimately this is not going to be a mountain, I'm gonna do my initial fold that way, and then I'll just fold it back to where it will ultimately need to sit. And just taking one at a time. I like to line everything up so that you're folding it and it's still straight along the two edges. So just take them one at a time. The gussets are a little bit harder, so you might need to just roll a little bit and just line up the two side edges, burnish. Get that second half of the gusset. And as you're doing this, you're also burnishing the adhesive into the paper too. So that's another bonus. Really make sure that that adhesive is sticking. So everything has been folded as a mountain. So now I'm just gonna go back, and the ones that need to be valleys, I'll go ahead and turn those, fold those back. Okay, so one last one. This one needs to be. Okay, so there we have it, our spine. So all I'm gonna do is just remove on the underside the score tape, pinch these together, give it a nice burnish, and then go to my second page, pinch it together, give it a good burnish. And my last page. So there's that. And so now you can see all of my pages. Fold them all flat that way, fold them flat this way. Just exercise these hinges. So they're going to be flipping back and forth a lot, so you want to just make sure they'll do that with ease. And then I like to miter the corners on each of my hinges just so that I generally do it, but in this case I don't need to, because this is all, you know, within the page itself. If you were cutting a hinge that's a little bit closer to the same height of your page, or the exact same height, sometimes it's nice just to miter these corners off a little bit so that you're sure to, it's sure to be hidden within your page, but we don't really need to do that this time. So there's that. Nice and complete. And then all I'm gonna do is now get some score tape along the back. So that's ready to go into our book when we're ready for it. And I have I think I have everything ready to go. So last thing, let me just show you how I actually made these little slits. So and you don't necessarily have to do this. I just think it's kind of nice so that she doesn't need any special archival safe tape or glues to put her photos in. And as well, as her daughter grows, she can swap these photos out and keep the brag book, but put new photos in. So right now, her daughter is 1, but you can imagine next year she might have photos from when she's 2 and she's starting to walk and she's starting to have all of these first moments. She might want to collect those photos. I don't know that the brag book will last until she graduates high school, but if it did, then she would have photos all the way through there too. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to leave these as slits. Okay, so what I did was I basically figured out, the largest size photo, and I had a good feeling that 2x3 would fit really well. So she could, just take create little collages, and on a 4x6 photo, she could get 4 of these 2x3 photos, so it would not cost a lot. But plus, I think 2x3 is like the new standard wallet size. But anyways, so what I did was this is heavyweight chipboard, and I just cut myself a piece that is actually, it measures 2 3/4. Oh, sorry. This is 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. And I centered it along on our pocket page here. Just got that centered. Like so. And then I just give myself a couple of pencil marks, and I cut off these corners. All I did was I measured 1/2 inch from both sides, gave myself a tick mark, 1/2 inch from top and bottom, gave myself a tick mark, and I did that all the way around. And then I just cut a straight line from tick mark to tick mark, so you get this really nice even 45-degree angle. And I have one of my marks. So then once this is nice and centered, I'm just going to give myself a couple of lines. And then once my lines are in, I'm going to take a utility knife and my steel ruler and give myself some slits. So then you can just make sure that you're cutting through both sides, and then you can erase your line, and then you've got a nice slit that a photo can get tucked into, and then the back side will have the same slit. So that is, I've already done that, and I have prepared 3 pages. So I've got my 3 pages, pocket pages here, and then I think I have everything. So now it's time to put it all together. So we are gonna start with the outside. So let's do the easy bit first. This is gonna go right in the center there. Gonna want for this side to be glued down first. So put that magnet down first. We are just going to put this in here. Yeah, so I'm gonna just use some double-sided adhesive. I don't need my strong score tape since this is just decorative, so I'll just use my regular score double-sided adhesive. So there we have the outside of our brag book decorated. We've got our magnets in place, and now the inside. So we want to put the hinge down first. So to do that, a couple things. Really want to make sure that your hinge is going to sit completely within the spine. So I know that's a little hard to see, but we want to make sure that the where the score lines are, they're not sitting one on top of each other. This needs to be right nestled between there. The other thing is we want to make sure that it is going to be top and bottom in the right spot. Put this unit in, and again, this is another case where really want to make sure that it is clear from the fold there so that it closes nicely. So I am going to put this decorative piece on. Okay, so there is that piece in. Then this magnet isn't super strong. I should have opted for something a little bit bigger, but I think it'll, once we burnish it really well, I think it'll be okay. Let's get some of this adhesive off. Okay, so there's that. Perfect. Then this panel, it's just going to be a pocket. So to make this a pocket, I have cut a little hinge that I'm gonna adhere at the bottom of this. We've got a little gatefold here for a special photo. Maybe she wants to write, some details. And then a nice little pocket where she can put a couple more keepsakes or anything she'd like. And so now we just need to put our album pages in. And once it closes up, like that. So let's get the album pages in. I really wish I'd put a stronger magnet here. Okay, but that's okay. So I already have all of my slits cut. So all we need to do is stick these on, and I'm going to put a thin line of glue at the bottom. Cute. So there is our little brag book. So we've got a fun little magnet closure. Then we have our book, 3 pages, little flip out. Again, would have been a little bit nicer. What I might do to save this, possibly adding another magnet. So I could do that, and then I'll just have to put a decorative little something over that, and that should hopefully be strong enough. And then these have slits, so to put photos in, you just slip a photo right between the slits. And I'll probably keep one in here when I give it to her, just as a template, so that she knows what size photo and how to get the photo actually in. Might take a little bit of finagling, but once it's in, it'll be well secured. So there's that. I keep on having one slide out on me, so there we go. So she can just put her photos in like that. She'll be able to put another photo on the back as well, and then a little pocket to put additional keepsakes or other items that she would want to keep in here. So that will be able to slide in as well. And there you have it, a little brag book. Thank you so much for joining me. I know that part of this was a little bit of trial and error, but if you made it this far, thanks so much. I hope that you enjoyed this project and this fun, different way of using this amazing die set. Thanks so much and have a fantastic day. Bye.